What if you painted something and you don't like it? Or let's say you painted something a year ago and you just want to change it. You can, and I'm going to show you how to do that in this video, because we are going to repaint this piece right here that I have painted now. This will be the 4th time I've painted it. I'm going to show you how I'm going to take some of the paint off of it, sand things down, get it ready for another coat of paint. I mean, we'll just keep painting it. It's going to be paint inception. Paint inside of paint inside of paint. Let's do it. I've had this hutch for a while and I have painted it a few times, maybe 4 times, 3 times. And it was time to take the paint off in order to paint it again. So, of course, we always say it's just paint, so you can paint over it. But if you've got too many layers, let's say you pick up a piece of paint or a piece of furniture that has too many layers of paint on it, I'm going to show you how to strip it off. So I wanted to use this as a teaching opportunity to show you guys how you can use a heat gun to strip paint off of furniture, because I've showed you how to take paint off of furniture in other ways, so this is another way. You want to make sure you're in a fully ventilated area, because sometimes there's fumes that come off. You want to make sure that you're wearing a mask, or if you're outside, there's a breeze, something of that nature. This is real time, so what I do is I put my heat gun fairly close to the surface. Don't do it too close and don't hold it too long. You don't want it to catch on fire, but enough that it will bubble up. This is my favorite paint scraper. I highly, highly recommend you get a paint scraper like this, which you can get at any hardware store on Amazon, and this will just rip that paint off. The heat gun compromises the paint and it bubbles it up, and it makes it a lot easier to pull it off of your surface. So this literally is, let's see, I painted it in Palmetto. Then I decided I wanted to try to paint it white because my husband liked white, and it literally lasted a day, and I painted over it again. So there was Palmetto, there was Boss, there was a white color, and then there was a blending on there. So there was quite a few layers of some Dixie Belle paint on there. And so this just rips it right off. So if you take your time and you get the right tools, it will work. Any heat gun, like I said, works. This is a Makita, but that scraper, I feel like, is key to helping just pull that all off. Although I got about 98% of the paint off, I do go afterwards, even when I'm stripping it, with a chemical stripper, and I sand it. So I'm taking a 120 grit sandpaper, I'm putting it on my 10 millimeter pad, and I am using my Surf Prep, and I'm going to sand down this entire piece. That way I can smooth it out even more. The whole purpose of me taking this paint off, 1, is so I could teach you guys how to do it in a video, and 2, because I wanted to have a really nice surface for this next paint, this paint job that I'm going to do. Even though I'm going to add texture, it's really important to not keep putting layer after layer after layer of paint on there. It's okay to repaint your stuff if you get sick of it. It's okay to pick up a piece that's painted and you want to take paint off of it. But over time, when you put too many layers of paint, it compromises your doors and them coming in, which brings me to my next point. This door has always stuck. So if you have a door that sticks, I sand the side of it down, and you're going to see me sand it until it opens and closes nicely. So you can take a sander on doors or drawers that are stuck. Over time, these pieces settle or they swell and they shrink back down. And so sometimes they don't open or close the way that they should or used to. And so like right here is where you can see me sanding that side of the door because it keeps getting stuck and it's been driving me crazy for years. And I should have done this a long time ago, but now I'm doing it so I can teach you again. So you're welcome for all these teaching opportunities. Kidding. So you can see it kind of stuck right here. So I sanded it down a little bit more, and then eventually it finally opened and closed nicely. So I sanded down this entire piece, fixed that door. I'm going to brush it all off with my dusting brush, and I'm actually going to go inside. I'm going to bring this inside and I'm going to clean it with some white lightning. Now that I got all the dust off of this from sanding and stripping it with the heat gun, I'm going to clean it really well with Dixie Belle's White Lightning. It is a TSP based cleaner. I just really want a good, nice, clean surface here. And so I'm going to clean it all off with this, and then I'm going to go over it with clean water and a clean rag to get any residual soap cleaner off so I don't have adhesion issues. I'm going to let it completely dry, and then I'm going to go over this with my Dixie Belle's Boss in clear. Boss is a blocking primer because the center of this where I'm painting is going to have decoupage paper, and I'm going to go over it. First, I'm going to do a base coat of white to go under the decoupage paper, and I don't want to have to deal with any bleed through or tannins. I'm just going to go over this entire piece because the top, it's going to have a lighter color on it. I'm going to have some yellow on there, and so I just stripped this down. It's probably going to bleed pretty bad. I tested this in my video for 10 Minute Tuesday. It is a bleeder. So you know what? I'm just going to go over the whole thing with the Boss in clear. Now, for this part, I am going to go over these raised areas with Colonel Mustard by Dixie Belle, and you're going to see why I am doing this later. I am going for a Mediterranean style, and so I lived in Italy for 4 years. It's very colorful. Mediterranean style is very close to my heart. I love texture. I love chippiness. I love bold colors. I love the Mediterranean tiles. All the things that are colorful and Mediterranean and awesome. So I am going to try to pull a bunch of colors in this piece together, and that is why I'm putting that Colonel Mustard in those areas. Now, I told you I'm going to go over these panels with fluff because the decoupage paper is a rice paper, so it's semi-transparent. And so whatever you put underneath it is what is going to show through. And I want it's colorful tiles is the decoupage paper I'm using, and I want them to be bright. So I'm going to put them over Dixie Belle Fluff. I'm going to put them over a white colored paint. Now, I'm going to add all of my texture. I'm going to do Terracota, and I'm going to do Dixie Belle Sea Spray. I am going to mix these into each other until I get a brownie-like batter consistency, and then I am going to put that texture over the entire piece. Very slow, very controlled, so that I have the same kind of small, uniform texture over the entire piece. Once my sea spray is dried, I'm going to lay down my base coats. So the first one I'm going to do is in the navy, and I'm going to start at the bottom, and I'm going to put a layer of it on here. I'm going to try to make it as solid as I possibly can, but I'm going to end up blending it and distressing it, so I'm not super worried about it being total coverage. Then above in the navy, I'm going to use Cobalt blue, and then above the Cobalt blue, I will use Dixie Belle blue, and then we're going to end up blending those colors together. Then I'm going to show you how to wet distress with a 3M scrubbing pad, scouring pad, whatever you want to call it. After I've laid down my base coats of my Cobalt and my Dixie Belle Blue, this is how I'm going to blend all of the colors in each level. But I am going to add some wet paint right there to my Dixie Belle Blue transition line. And then I'm going to add some wet paint to my Cobalt transition line. And then I'm going to do the process of blending them. So I'm putting the Cobalt on here. I'm kind of going up to that Dixie Belle Blue just a little bit. I'm going to mist it to make sure that the surface stays, has moisture on it, so that way these will blend better together. And then I'm going to start doing circles. I go vertical, I go horizontal, and this is going to help me blend these together. So I'm doing my Cobalt blue, and then I'm going to switch over with my Dixie Belle blue, and I'm going to mist, and then I'm going to start up a little bit further and work my way down, going diagonal, going in circles, and I'm trying to blend these colors together right now. In comes my clean dry neutral brush. I'm going to mist the surface, and I'm going to take this brush and I'm going to start above that transition line, and I'm going to do diagonal, I'm going to do vertical, horizontal. I'm going to rub it off with the microfiber cloth so that I get the excess paint off of there, and I'm going to repeat that process a few times, going from the bottom up to the top of the transition line, doing circles as well. And then after I do this, I am going to add just a little bit more Cobalt blue at the bottom because it's lightened it up just a little bit. So I want to make sure that it stays dark down there. Sometimes with lighter colors, it'll pull down into that darker color. So I'm going to put a little bit more of some Cobalt blue down there and almost blend, instead of going up where that transition line is where we just blended, I'm going to just kind of blend that new Cobalt into that other color just to make it look smoother. Hopefully that makes sense. Remember how we put all the yellow and the orange underneath the blue? We're going to take this 3M scouring pad and we are going to expose all of that. So we are doing a wet distress right now. You want to mist your surface and then go over it with the scouring pad, and this is going to pull out all those colors underneath that you had put with the texture. And remember, we were putting the Cobalt or the Kernel Mustard, and I said just wait, later on you're going to see it pop through. So that at this point right now is where we're starting to pull all that out. When I'm using the scouring pad, what you're going to see here is that a little bit of the paint is going to, it's like it's not coming completely off. That's okay. I'm just exposing it right now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to keep a microfiber cloth handy as well, and I'm going to mist the surface again one more time, go over it with my microfiber cloth, and you're going to see right here, and it's going to show you all the colors. So you go over it with the 3M pad, and then you clean it up with your microfiber cloth. So watch. We're going to mist it, and then I'm going to take the microfiber cloth and boom, there you go. That is what we have exposed underneath. So you want to make sure you do that every so often as well, so that you can see the amount of distress that you have done on the piece. Because even right here, when I do this, it doesn't look like it. Then I wipe it away and boom, you can see that brown or that orange. So make sure you are cognizant of that. Next, I'm going to take my Colorful Tiles Decoupage rice paper, and I'm going to apply it to those panels over that white that we did earlier. This rice paper is really great because it creases really easily. And so I decided, okay, I'm going to go from the middle of the paper. So that way we have a full tile and then half a tile on each side. It just made more sense to me. And so I am using my fingernail actually, and I'm outlining it. And you can see right here that it makes a perfect crease. So I'm just going to cut on the outside of that crease. So that way, if I do cut it and it's not perfect, it's slightly bigger, and that way I can trim off any excess if I need to. It's better to have more on there and have to trim away excess than to not have enough. So it's perfect. Now I'm going to take my satin clear coat and I'm going to use this as a glue when I decoupage. I do this every time I decoupage, I use this. So I'm going to lay down a fairly thick coat of the satin clear coat with a foam brush, and this is going to act, like I said, as a glue that's going to hold this rice paper on to the area that I want to decoupage. So once I put it on there, in order to have a very smooth finish with this paper, it's very forgiving, but I'm going to put it in place, and I start from the top and work my way down to the bottom, and you're going to see in a few minutes how I do that. I'm going to walk you through it so that you have a flawless decoupaged piece of rice paper and it's not a bunch of wrinkles. Now it's time to put your fitted paper on top of your satin clear coat. So I'm just kind of checking it right now, making sure that all the sides are even, that I don't have any spaces. I'm going to pull it back up, and I'm going to use my foam brush to push this down. So I'm going to start at the top, and I'm going to work my way down. But here is the thing. I pull it down, so I brush down in the center. You're going to see here in a second. I brush down in the center every so often, and then I push out to let all the air out so that it smooths perfectly, okay? And then I don't have any wrinkles and any excess. So I'm going to move down a little bit after I've smoothed, go down a little bit, push out. And you'll see me do that on the rest of this, and then on the other one that I do, I go down and smooth out. So that way all the air bubbles and all the wrinkles have a chance to get out of the sides of the piece. I am using this video as a full-on showing you a bunch of different things I haven't showed you before. I wanted to add a little bit of yellow on this piece, and because I just felt like the blue was too dark. And so what I'm doing is I'm taking a little bit of the kernel mustard that I had used before, taking the same premium chip brush I used, and I'm dabbing the actual paint in these areas, and then I'm wiping it back. And what this is doing is it is creating kind of a, if you guys have watched me before, I create colored wax. It's almost the same concept as that. It's just another way to get that look. So I wanted to fill in the little swirl and some of these ornate areas with the yellow, and so that's how I'm doing it, is I'm using the actual paint. So right here, I'm gonna mist the surface. I dip my brush in there, and then I pounce it off on the microfiber cloth, and I'm pouncing it in all of these ornate areas. I'm going to take my microfiber cloth, I'm going to wipe it away, and then I'm going to put some water on my microfiber cloth with my mister bottle, and I'm going to wipe it away again. So that way it's only in those recessed areas. My final step is to seal this piece with the Easy Peasy spray wax. I'm going to spray it all over the piece and rub it in with a microfiber cloth, and we are donezo. Okay everybody, so this video is done. This piece is done. I hope you enjoyed that video. And I lived in Italy for 4 years, so the Mediterranean inspiration behind this it runs pretty deep. So if you guys are not subscribed, please make sure you are hitting that subscribe button and leave me a comment below. Let me know, do you like Mediterranean style? And everything I use is always in the description below. Man, I can't talk today. In the description below as well. So if you go there, you can click it and get exactly what you need to recreate this look. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you all, truly, from the bottom of my heart. And have an awesome week. Happy creating, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.